Ask me anything. I just had a client come up to me after a keynote and say, what can we do about this important theme of ownership when it's understood so differently between millennials and the rest of the workforce? And that is such a terrific question and such an urgent and pressing question for so many of us. So I want to suggest a few different things, this couple of different approaches. The first is to understand that each of the different generations brings different strengths and weaknesses, right? And so for an older generation who is looking at the millennials, there are sometimes some frustrations with this lack of ownership. And I want to start with saying, acknowledge those things that this new generation brings that are of value. One of the things that is really clear is that millennials are really requiring a connection to purpose. And all of the studies from COVID are showing, and McKinsey reports are backing this up repeatedly, that purpose is really helping to drive for all of us. It drives our engagement, it drives our productivity, it drives the quality of the output that we offer, and it also drives our longevity with a company. And all of those are key performance factors. A company has to manage all of those so carefully, and it's so expensive to lose people or not to have engaged employees. So consider this potentially as a strength that you can really leverage and acknowledge in that millennial employee. So that's number one. The second thing is to really set up expectations at the beginning that depending on the role that the person is taking, that there will be ownership that is part of the evaluation of that role. And so to try to start to train that, just to have that conversation up front to say, we're going to be holding you accountable for this, this, and this, is going to be a conversation that you want to have early on as opposed to later when that might be more of a frustrating sort of a conversation because you're not seeing things met. So I would establish those expectations very clearly up front. The next thing that you can really work on is mentorship around this. And this is assigning that millennial a mentor that can help to develop the concept and the understanding of ownership in them as they are going through their work. And mentorship is so critical for all of us in so many ways, helping us get through the most difficult times, help us negotiate challenges that we just simply may not be prepared to negotiate based on our previous experience, but yet still have the opportunity to overcome, to learn from, to overcome, and to come out the other side stronger. So if you can establish some mentoring programs that are set up in a way that help that millennial with many different aspects of their job, but one of them will also be understanding this concept of ownership. And then finally, kind of a bonus as a idea to work on in a group setting at your company is to set up some role plays. And I talked to somebody in an aviation industry where we're talking literally about the roles in the cockpits, right? And that's where decision making is really critical. And it doesn't help to say that, hey, we have to have a team approach if you're in the middle of a crisis. So you might set up some role plays in places that you have either seen or can anticipate problems with a failure of ownership. And in those role plays, help people to start to see the importance of being a firm decision maker when it's called for. And there may be other times when somebody who is inclined towards making decisions and executing quickly understands that there could be benefits to taking more of a team approach. So that role play opportunity is a great chance to bring people together and have those conversations outside of the pressures of somebody feeling put upon or criticized unnecessarily if they don't understand the concept, because ownership really is critical. It's critically important in not just cockpit situations where there may be a crisis that has to be reacted to immediately, but also really to make sure that we deliver on those things that we commit to delivering. And as we say in the military, every leader owns what they do or they fail to do, or what their team does or fails to do. And if this is a concept that is new for any of your employees, whatever their generation, then that's something where, again, you want to establish the expectations up front, establish mentorship that can help to develop and reinforce those expectations, and then also set up some pretty low stakes role play where people can start to see and understand what's going on. And then I'm going to roll back to that very first thing, which is to understand that all of us bring different strengths and weaknesses, and it can help the conversation to acknowledge those strengths and weaknesses up front, to acknowledge that you understand that this person is bringing, if it's a millennial, for example, bringing this strength of connection to purpose, because that's something that all of us could do a better job working at for our long-term satisfaction at a company, for a meaningful life, and for, it turns out, our output and our performance. So hope that helps and look forward to hearing from you with the next Ask Me Anything.